Huge shout out goes out to our current channel members. If you're interested in gaining a channel membership, then feel free to head over to my channel profile and click the join button. Also, we do have a Ninjago Discord server. It's a great way to communicate with myself and many others. For more details on that, click the very first link at the very top of the description of this video. Thanks.
So hello there everybody and welcome back on in to the channel today for a brand new theory. But seriously, this is literally not any ordinary theory and you are literally going to have to believe me on this one. This is probably one of the biggest theories I've ever come up with here on the Overlord X channel, and this is again one that I have personally come up with, or at least I think I have. You know, if anybody else has coincidentally come up with this theory, then I'm not trying to act like I was the only one that came up with it, but I haven't really seen anybody else talk about a theory like this one, so don't think that I'm essentially copying and then acting like I didn't know that they made the theory in the first place, if that makes any kind of sense. But I'm pretty sure this one is mostly all original to me, and yeah, it's a pretty big one to be completely honest with you, and I'm extremely happy with said theory, and I think that it could potentially actually happen, and if not, it is still an insane scenario to actually think about. So I just want to dive straight into this because there is a fair bit to actually go ahead and discuss and talk about with all of you. Because again, oh boy, this is going to be a pretty big one. So, first things first, let's talk about dragons in Ninjago. Dragons are essentially like the side of light, you could say, especially when compared to the Oni. They are like the source of light against the source of darkness. Again, there is kind of like a balance between those two. It's like yin and yang, you know? So the dragons are creatures we have been very familiar with, basically throughout Ninjago's entire run. They are like the ninja's best friend, you could say, and they have always helped out the ninja, and again, are mostly on the side of light. So now that that's been established, well, Dragons Rising established something entirely new when it comes to dragons, and that would be the concept of source dragons. Now previously we were led to believe that Firstborn was like kind of like the god of all dragons, but it would appear that the actual source dragons have taken things a huge step higher, like an absolute multitude higher, as these guys are, well, they contain the power to essentially just destroy one single realm with essentially the click of a finger. It is that easy for them, so they say anyway, unless they are just completely lying, but I mean, you know, that's kind of a huge assumption to make. So we know that these guys are like the higher being. They are like the dragon equivalent of a celestial. They are, again, they can be considered gods from what we can tell so far. We haven't actually seen their power in action, but I think we can assume that much. Now, with that being said and the whole dragon thing out of the way, first, let's talk about the yin and yang concept once again, as I touched on earlier. Dragons, well, what is their opposite? Well, it's safe to say that that would be the Oni, right? Now, the Oni were, you know, a concept that we didn't really see all that much of, unfortunately, much to the Ninjago community's dismay. And it was unfortunate, but that is kind of getting off track here, because the fact is the Oni are what essentially balances out the light with the dragons. It is like literally the concept of light versus dark, dragon versus Oni, right? We can establish that much. And as I was mentioning earlier, dragons have a higher being, such as the source dragons. Well, this theory would suggest that, well, what if the Oni also had some sort of higher being? Now, of course, we did know about the Oni warlords, but it's kind of the same thing as the Firstborn situation, because that could easily be thrown out the window as something else entirely, to the point where there's also another huge god being. Because again, we thought and were led to believe that Firstborn was like the most powerful one that possessed all of the elemental powers and whatnot. But no, the Source Dragons seem to be a whole lot more, like incomparably, stronger than Firstborn, just in every single way. So it is probably going to be a similar situation with the Oni here and the Oni warlords that were mentioned a few times back in, you know, whatever season that actually was, season 10. So, with that being said, again, what if there is a huge god-like Oni being in existence out there? And, you know, that would be boring on its own, right, to just talk about a theory that doesn't really relate to Dragons Rising. But I'm going to take this a step further and say, what if the Oni higher being is the one that actually created the merge? Now, just bear with me, because we do kind of get the vibe that the Imperium realm isn't anything to do with the merge itself. I initially was led to believe that, but after a few rewatches, it becomes more and more clear that they aren't, and that they are just as in the dark and about this entire situation as pretty much everybody else. And, you know, with the whole concept of cursed knowledge going on in the Cloud Kingdom, it appears that whoever is actually in charge of the merge does not want anybody to actually know more about it. So I think it would make a whole lot of sense if something like this was to happen, and therefore it would also bring back this whole dragon and Oni concept, and then maybe the new writers can have a go at tackling that whole concept and maybe make it even better, because season 10, let's be honest, was a bit of a letdown. But oh boy, this is such an incredible theory, and I think it would be absolutely awesome to see happen. Kind of hyping my own theory up a bit here now, I know. But seriously, I am really, really happy with this particular theory, and I would absolutely love to see something like this happen. But now that my theory is out of the way here, I think that is basically just about going to cover it for today's video. So what do you guys think about all of this? Please let me know all of your own personal thoughts and opinions on this down below in the comments. I would love to hear your own thoughts regarding all of this. As always though, if you did enjoy today's video, please do feel free to leave a like on it, subscribe to the Overlord X YouTube channel for more, and hit that notification bell so that you behind the screen there, yes you there, I'm looking right at you, can keep up to date on all things Ninjago right here on the channel. And with all of this being said, I will catch you all very soon for a new one. Well, goodbye everybody, see you all very soon.